Topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Outdoors People with me, CW Getz, and her, Maya Marzaki. Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 29th, 2023. We have a beautiful 42 degrees, a little chilly, 42-degree Fahrenheit sunny day here. That is 5 degrees Celsius in north central Illinois. What do you think of that?
I think that's amazing. You guys are getting warmer there, right?
Yeah, it's not bad. It was a lot warmer the last couple of days, actually. So this is a little chilly, but we're going back. We are going to hit 70 degrees, I think, next couple of days. In fact, Friday, we're going to hit the big 70 and maybe 71 in tornadoes and nasty, wicked weather. So, yeah, kind of bracing for we're tying down battening down the hatches as we speak. So, yeah.
Whoa.
Right. Yeah. What do you got down there in Sao Paulo?
So it's getting chilly in here. Actually, it is 25 Celsius. And for you guys, 76 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that is chilly. My. How do you handle all that? Jeez, I love it.
Yeah, I don't know neither, but I have no option.
You're coming here at the end of May, and I hope it's warm for you. Otherwise, you're just going to die when you get up here and it's not 90 degrees or 85 degrees, man. Yeah.
Yes, I hope that too.
Well, we'll be out there. It'll be 65, and you'll be with like a winter coat, man. It'll be funny. So, taking pictures of you.
With like snow jackets and gloves.
It'll be entertaining if anything else. Yeah. Well, tonight's episode of Outdoors. I'm sorry, what was that?
So we'll be for you, not for me.
Oh, well, that's for sure. Well, tonight's episode of Outdoors People is brought to you by Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water.
By Campground Views, making camping easier.
By Duluth Pack, made in the USA since 1882.
And by Jackson Kayak, pursuing joy through paddle sports.
Tonight's episode is Go Get Lost with our special guest, Jeff Fafoglia. Jeff Fafoglia has been leading groups of adventurous travelers to the far corners of the planet for almost 3 decades. In the past, he could be found creeping through the African bush to get his clients the perfect camera angle or guiding a group of divers through the midst of a school of circling sharks off the Galapagos, it's easy for me to say, Islands. Sorry. These days, his favorite gear is now a pair of hiking boots for the backroads of Europe. When he's not with his groups on a trail in Italy or on a yacht somewhere, Jeff lives in Illinois with his wife and son. In between trips, he enjoys hiking, snowboarding, scuba diving, mountain biking, and cooking. And with that, welcome to the show, Jeff.
Glad to be here.
Let's go back to that word. I screwed that up. Galapagos. Is that right?
Well, yeah, you finally got it right. Yeah,
I know, and I know that word, and I don't know what happened. It's a Wednesday. Yeah, it's no excuse. I know. How's your weather, Jeff?
It's pretty nice. Spring is just about to spring here, and I think today was about 58, 57, right in there. It's nice enough to get out and do a hike, which I did.
So you guys actually are. See, basically, Jeff is on my doorstep, so to speak, relatively speaking. But even, what are we, 70, 80 miles away from each other? You're from LaSalle, Peru here.
Yeah,
it's warmer, and that's interesting, and that's probably
such a good day.
Yeah, interesting. So, yeah.
Well. So, welcome. Thank you for being here. And how did you come up with the idea to create Go Get Lost?
Well, back in the 90s, I had a dive center, and as part of the dive center, we do a lot of travel, and so I got kind of learned the business of organizing group travel in the dive center, since we're taking groups to the Caribbean, the Pacific, and those are difficult trips to organize. There's a lot of logistics, and you're in remote locations, So it's difficult, and if you can learn it that way, then you can do it just about anywhere, I think. So in the midst of all that, my brother and I, we traveled back and forth to Italy quite a bit because a lot of family is still there. My grandparents immigrated from Italy back in 1920, and so we go back a lot and visit them. And when we're there, we like to go hiking as part of our sightseeing and seeing the countryside. So we're doing that, and we're having a lot of fun. We come back and we tell all our relatives about it, and cousins and friends say, hey, next time you go, take us. And so we do. And then one trip leads to another. And the next thing you know, we have more and more people. And then we end up having like a group. And so I can remember sitting there one time with my brother, and we're at some little cafe. And I said, God, who's that guy over there? And he said, I don't know. I thought you know him. I said, he must be a friend of Cousin Vito's or something. I don't know. So he said, we need to start charging these people for this sort of thing. So since we kind of rolled in our experience with group travel, and we said, let's just start a company that does hiking in Italy. And so we formed a company called Lost in Italy, and it did really well. We just kind of did it as kind of a lark on the side, maybe just to pay for our trips, but it turned out really well. And within a year or two, it took off. And so probably about 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 years after we started it, we expanded into other countries. So the term or the name Lost in Italy didn't really make much sense at that point. So we changed it to Go Get Lost. And that's how it's working.
So where did that name come from? Did somebody tell you, hey, go get lost? Or did you say, hey, I like that name? Or did
yeah,
you
I love the name, by the way.
Yeah, it's a cool name.
If either of you had ever been on any of my trips, especially the early ones, for sure, then you know where that comes from, because I know my brother and I, as we were on our own and trying to lay out all these hiking routes and how to get the best way to get from town A to town B, and cut through the olive groves and to make it a really nice walk. This was before GPS and all that sort of thing was common, and so we were lost continually. We spent half our time hiking and half the time poring over some map in the middle of nowhere, turning it around. No, it goes this way, and so we were perpetually lost. And so when we started the company, we said, well, that's obviously we were always lost in Italy, so let's just call it Lost in Italy, and it makes sense. So now when people are with us and we're hiking in some place and we do actually get lost, which happens, then we can say, what did you think?
Why'd you think we called it this? Right?
What did you expect?
You sign up.
Yeah.
So it gives us an out. This is an excuse.
Yeah, right. Well, give us an example of the type of trips that you guys offer then.
Well, currently we're in about 10 or 11 countries, and we're expanding quite a bit right now. In the next couple of years, we're going to introduce at least 4, maybe 5 new countries. Some of them we've been to before, and we're just kind of bringing them back, and some of them are fairly new to us. But we're a hiking tour company. We still have some food and wine tours and some easy exploring tours, where we call them, but our base is still the hiking tours. And we operate in Italy, Spain, France, Ireland, Greece, Slovenia, soon to be Croatia, and Portugal, I guess I should say. Also in Argentina, we do Patagonia tours. And so we'll do these tours that are somewhat upscale, and we try to find the best routes in an area that provide for a nice day hike, but yet that night you're still staying in a nice village or town or a small city in nice accommodations.
Sounds good.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, Maya. So do you go on each of these trips before you book people on those trips? I'm sure you do. You probably explore those trips before you would sign people up for them, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. Well, if we have an idea for a new tour, then it takes, anywhere from, 2 years to even longer. Some tours have taken us several years to set up because we just can't seem to get the way we want. But we'll say a couple of years is the average between the time we research it, we start figuring out what we want to do and where we want to do it, and then we actually start putting feet on the ground, visiting all. If we have a trail that we're going to do a nice walk on a certain itinerary, you can be assured that we probably did 10 to come up with that one. And the same with the hotels we stay in. We try to find nice boutique hotels, 4-star hotels, or something really unique to the area. The restaurants, the menus. We have to try all the food and all the wine. I know it's a tough job, but we have to make sure it's all up to standards. So yeah, there's a ton of research. It takes a lot of time, and sometimes it doesn't go smoothly. We don't find it the way we want it, but sometimes it all falls into place. So one way or another, though, we get it done, and before we take anybody on a tour.
Yeah, that's cool.
And do any of the trips you offer require a certain level of experience?
It varies a little bit. I don't think you have to have any, technical experience because, if you're an avid hiker, we'll say, you don't have to be, a mountaineer. But if you're an avid hiker and you get out and you walk regularly, then it's probably appropriate. Now, within all of the tours we offer, which are about, over 40 different itineraries now, some of them are fairly easy itineraries, like Ireland, for instance. That's wonderful walking, and there's nothing really beyond, we'll say, light moderate there. And then other itineraries and other destinations require, a fair bit of hiking experience. Mont Blanc would be a good example.
Yeah, I had a friend who I think she was. I think they took. Well, I think it was called a burro, and they take those burros and they were on trails too. Is that right?
We don't do that. Only place I know they do that is, I think, the Grand Canyons. I've never seen a burro on a trail with anybody on it other than maybe grapes or lemons in Italy where they're using them to harvest. So,
yeah, I thought she said they did burros, and I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking.
Yeah, there could be somewhere like that. I don't know if I trust a burro, but
Yeah, right.
I'd rather just walk.
No adventure there. No, I'm just joking.
Right.
So when we come back, we are going to find out some questions people ask. Don't go away. We'll be back after these messages.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "Well, we don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
It is time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
Duluth Pack is handcrafted for every lifestyle, making memories since 1882. In store at 365 Canal Park Drive or online at duluthpack.com.
We're one big family, a community of paddlers, and we want to make sure that everyone has a great time out on the water.
We are made right here in Sparta, Tennessee, USA.
This is where every Jackson kayak is born. Built by hand with a focus on innovation.
We are Jackson Kayak.
We are Jackson Kayak.
We're Jackson Kayak.
We are Jackson Kayak.
And we're back with our guest, Jeff Fafoglia, here on Outdoors People. We just have a little, during the break, we're all having a Monday here on Outdoors People, so bear with us. So Jeff, what type of questions do people ask you when considering to book a trip? What kind of questions you get?
Probably the most common question that we field is whether or not they think they can do the trip, and then how hard is it, and what's the distance of the trails. It seems like most people want to use that as the parameter on the difficulty of the trail, and so we generally tend to have some pretty lengthy conversations with some people trying to assess their abilities and what trip might be appropriate, if they're biting off more than they can chew, if not, if we think it's going to be okay for them.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that's probably tends to be the most common thing. And then we get quite a few questions about, how to arrive and how to depart from where the trip starts. Because sometimes, we're not just dealing with all the big cities. It's not a Rome, Paris type of place where they're going to start and end in smaller cities and towns. And so we have to give them a fair amount of help and advice, at least, on how to get there and then how to leave.
I'm going to throw you a curveball here. If someone had something happen, let's just say maybe they sprained their ankle or maybe, God knows what.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? I mean, do you have to call someone comes in and picks them up? How does that work? Just, real briefly, you don't have to give us all the details, but
sure.
Is there a system in place for that?
Yeah. We always have kind of some protocols in place in case somebody gets injured and, in the unlikely event that happens. It doesn't happen very often, but there's definitely been some sprained ankles and that sort of thing. So we usually, on any given day, we know the proper way to get to the nearest help or who we call to get some sort of rescue in. Sometimes we're not that remote. Sometimes we are. It really varies a lot depending on that. But usually it's not a big deal as far as getting to some point where they can, get into a vehicle to get them back to town or, God forbid, to a doctor or a hospital.
And I would think just hearing that, people would go, oh, well, good. They got a plan for me. Like, as if you wouldn't, but, they're like, oh, good. I didn't know what would happen, if sprained my ankle. So that's good to know. I'm glad I asked you that question. So.
Yes, if they are not lost, right? No, I'm kidding. And what is the age range of those who sign up for trips?
Most of our clients are between, we'll say, 50 and 70. That's the vast majority. We sometimes get some younger ones in their 40s or 30s even, sometimes family groups, which is becoming more popular. And then you'll see a wide range all across the board. But most of the travelers that we deal with are going to be in the older middle-aged, nearing retirement or in retirement. But they tend to be fit. They're lifetime walkers and hikers. So they're ready for something like that.
That's amazing. So, did you say 50s to 70s?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Wow. I would thought you were going to say 20s, 30s. Yeah, okay. But I mean, these are, that's so cool. I mean, that people
don't see a whole lot in their 20s and 30s, honestly, unless they're traveling with their parents or something.
Yeah, that's Aaron Wilt sent us a message. Go Get Lost has the best trips. Highly recommend. That's awesome. See, that's what you like to see about your business. That's great.
It
Thanks,
is.
Aaron. Thanks for chiming in on that one.
Such a good feedback. And do any of the trips include tent camping?
No, actually, there's no camping. I mean, that's a good question because some people are kind of, when you think of hiking, you think of backpacking with this giant backpack and you're carrying everything that you own on it. No, we don't do any of that. We have, most people have a little day pack, a small pack, and we advise them on what kind to bring there. But that's just to put in your jacket when you take it off, to maybe if we have a sack lunch, if we're going to eat on the trail that day, your camera, if you have a camera, if we're going to have a picnic, everybody's got to carry something. This guy has a glass or a bottle of wine. This guy has the bread and salami.
Oh.
So you need a small pack. But other than that, you're going to stay the night in a really nice hotel somewhere or a lodge or that sort of thing. We'll spend usually 1 to 3 nights in one location in the town, and then we'll use that as a base of operations and use a private coach to go out into the countryside. Our groups are pretty small, between 12 and 18, most of them, with a max of 18. And so we can use a little small coach. We have all of our own private guides, and everything we do is private for the most part. So it's just your group. And then as we go out hiking for the day in whatever that area has to offer, the sort of the best trails for the area, then in the evening, you're going to be in a really nice place with nice accommodations.
We get showered up and I got to tell you, just from what I'm hearing, you explain. I mean, these trips sound like a nice balance. I mean, you're not going out in the Amazon, and that sort of thing. But there's enough activity and sort of excitement that it sounds like a great balance. And at nighttime, you can clean up and sit in the air conditioning or whatever. And
sure. And we throw other things too. It's not just about hiking. We'll definitely, most tours have a cooking class involved somewhere, so you can kind of learn the local culture and the food. We have some wine tours involved with them if we're in a wine area in France or Spain or Italy, that sort of thing. If there's something interesting to see in the area, maybe in a really cool museum. I know in Italy, We do a tour or a hike that goes up this valley that has all of these old paper mills, and so they have a paper mill they've restored. So we go through that and we see how it works. We have a little private tour. So all kinds of kind of off the beaten path, little quirky museums that really are interesting, are fascinating. We work those in, and we try to meet a lot of local people too. Not only the guides that we have working with their groups, but also just the local characters that at interesting little restaurants and places like that. The more local people, interesting people that our groups can meet, the better, I think. And so that really gives you a good rounding of the culture, and you understand the local people and the history of the area, the food, the wine, obviously, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a question here. Why don't you throw that back up on this here? It was Brian Browning. Jeff is the best. Trips are well planned out and full of fun. I love that. These guys have some great things to say about Go Get Lost. I love that.
I like to hear that.
Yes, but sounds just perfect. Like you solve all the people's problems and just give them a nice day of hike and amazing hotel to sleep. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Jeff, what's the average duration of these trips? I mean, how long are you out for? You out for a month or 6 months, or what do you?
That would be nice, but most of them are going to be 8 days. We have a few that are less than 8 days, and we have a few more. In fact, some newer ones we're bringing out that are a little bit more, like say 9 or 10 days. But they're usually 8 days. And now sometimes, like if they're going to the Greek islands, those 8-day tours, they might want to do Athens. We have an Athens extension for a couple of days. Oh, wow. So we have a few extensions. If you're going hiking in Patagonia, which is amazing, in Argentina, it's very common to go to Buenos Aires for a few days to see that. So that ends up making them, 10, 11 days. And then you add the flights on. And so it makes a nice 2-week chunk of time, which is what most people would like.
You just said an extension. I mean, how does that work? Do you have to know that ahead of time? You're going to say, yeah, we decided we're going to stay a couple of days and do this other thing. Or do you need to know that ahead of time?
Well, we have a few extensions that are offered on our tours. Like I'll go back to the Patagonia because it's an easy example. When you fly all the way down to South America, you have to fly into Buenos Aires, and then you have to fly down to Patagonia again, which is quite a ways. It's down towards the tip of South America. So you got to stay overnight in Buenos Aires anyway. And Buenos Aires is an amazing city. It's like a European city. And we would put together an extension there where we can give a city tour. We can go see a tango show, maybe amazing food and wine, and then some free time for shopping. So we spend a couple days there to kind of get organized, and then we'll have the domestic flight down to Patagonia. And now you're really ready to get out into the wilderness and see the amazing Andes scenery.
Very cool.
Yes, I'm wondering here, do you have you ever think about doing that in Brazil as well? Because we have so many amazing places to go.
The next time that I'm down there in South America, I'm going to go up to Iguazu Falls, and I think Brazil's on one side of that, right? And Argentina's on the other. So I'm going to go check that out because we've had several people ask about that as a pre or a post trip extension, and so I'm going to go in and see if we can maybe come up with something for there. So hopefully I'll be in Brazil.
Hey Jeff, I'm going to tell you something.
Just let me know.
this young lady right here will tell you the coolest places in Brazil, and she'll set your group up, I'm sure, if you ask her with a climbing.
Fantastic. Do you want to be one of the guides?
Oh, for sure. It will be so much fun.
Now, don't steal her away from my show, Jeff. I mean,
no, never.
All right.
So, guys, when we be back, we'll take a look at some pictures that Jeff has for us. Don't go away. We'll be back after these messages.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "Well, we don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on The Camping Show.
It is time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sights, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road. and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
Duluth Pack is handcrafted for every lifestyle, making memories since 1882. In store at 365 Canal Park Drive or online at duluthpack.com.
We're one big family, a community of paddlers, and we want to make sure that everyone has a great time out on the water.
We are made right here in Sparta, Tennessee, USA.
This is where every Jackson kayak is born. Built by hand with a focus on innovation.
We are Jackson Kayak.
We are
Jackson Kayak.
We're Jackson Kayak.
We are Jackson Kayak.
And we're back with our guest, Jeff Fafoglia, here on Outdoors People. Juan, we've got some photos that Jeff sent us. Let's take a look at those and have him tell us a little bit about each one of those, if we could, please. There we go. Jeff, what do we look at?
This is a shot of Portofino, which is on the Italian Riviera. There's amazing hiking around there, and of course the entire coastline for probably 50 miles in either direction is very pretty. This is one of the most iconic spots. We do a hike on this peninsula this picture is taking from, and then we actually do a little cooking class up there too with a local farmer who him and his wife grow all their own herbs. So you go out and you harvest the herbs, and they show you how to make the local dishes. And then you don't get exactly this view, but you're in this vicinity to see this kind of amazing little bay.
That's very cool, though.
It is kind of a lifestyle for rich and famous places. There's always some, a few movie star yachts pull in there and then try to jam themselves.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Lots of color.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh.
This is a shot. I took this down in the Amalfi Coast. This is a walk that we do down there called Punta Campanella. And at one point on the walk, we go out onto this point, and it looks like you're on a cliff, but you're not. It heads down away from you, right past those people. Those are my hikers there. And in the distance, you see that island that's Capri. And we'll probably going over there too. So nice. It's that whole coastline, once again, is beautiful. It's the other side of Italy. This is the far south, whereas that previous shot was in the far north, right? Closer to France, we'll say. So it's absolutely stunning scenery down there also.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
This is in Tuscany. That's a castle called Castello di Broglio, and it's very famous. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, we'll say. And we do some walks in that area, and as you can see, where there's a little white road on one side, and there's the group walking up to the castle. When we get up there, we're going to have an amazing food and wine picnic right on the castle wall, looking back down to where we took the picture from. So it's a very scenic spot. Very beautiful, very peaceful, and the views are amazing up there. This is in the north of Italy. This is a town called Riva del Garda, and it's the base of operations for about 3 days there for hikes up into the Alps right there. They're called the Dolomites. Beautiful little town. It's on the largest Italian lake, Lake Garda, which has all kinds of water sports and things to do. The hiking, as you can see, is very amazing. Very picturesque, and the town is a lot of fun too. It's not a big town, as you can see. You're looking at most of it right there, but it's wonderful, magical. Little cobblestone streets, little restaurants and bars, some very pretty piazzas, a little bit of shopping, and it's just the perfect time to spend the evenings after you've spent a day in the mountains that you see in the distance there.
That sounds awesome. It just sounds awesome.
Yes, and how about the hikes?
Yeah, hike up that mountain, man. That's wild.
Well, this is a picnic, and it's a typical picnic. We try to have a picnic on just about every tour. Some of them are not conducive for it, but if we can work a picnic, and we can. As you can see, we put quite a spread out. They're all locally produced breads, cheeses, salamis, meats, vegetables, fruits, you name it. This one happens to be overlooking a beautiful vineyard there. And it's
Jeff, I'm going to tell you what, that looks like that's looked like a picture that belongs in a magazine. And I'm not making that up. Doesn't it?
We're pretty good at picnics, that's for sure. We do a lot of these.
It's very cool.
Good. Well, there's the way for you to experience that, CW.
I'm thinking you're going to tell me I need to go on one of these trips.
You really do.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Yes, I think we should.
So this is down looking over the town called Positano, which is near the town of Amalfi on the Amalfi Coast. It's a beautiful place. As you can see, it's built almost on a vertical axis.
Yeah.
There's hardly any streets, really. There's stairways going up and down between all the houses. And then there's a couple that just did the walk. This is the very end of a very famous walk called Sentiero dei Dei, the Pathway of the Gods. And it starts at a town about 8 or 9 miles away, and it winds its way along the coastline very, very high, and eventually ends up working its way down into Positano. So that's a absolutely stunning walk. That's a great spot for a picture there, as you can see.
I would think the whole hike might be wonderful views and pictures.
It really is. You can stop at any given time, and it's amazing. You want to take a picture, but that's like 4 or 5 hours of that. It's kind of overwhelming. Very, very pretty.
Yeah, beautiful.
Whoa.
This is in Ireland. This is we'll say the Killarney Lakes region. And this is along one of our walks there that goes into a little a lake. And we have lunch there at a small inn. So this is a classic Irish countryside picture. Everything is green, obviously, because it's Ireland. And it is, as they say it is, that's for sure.
Yeah. Every picture that I've seen of Ireland, it just looks so green, like you said, but very, it's beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful country.
Whoa.
There's a painting.
This is in the Balkans. This is the capital of Slovenia, is Ljubljana.
Wow.
Majestic old city, very, very clean, very genteel. Enormous amount of history there, obviously, the food and wine. One thing people don't realize is Slovenia has a phenomenal wine production. They're some of the best in the world there, and it's sort of unknown. So we do food and wine tours there in addition to hiking tours. And Ljubljana has some canals like that. They're not really canals, but like a river, we'll say, that runs through the town, and it's extremely picturesque. So we often start tours in Ljubljana, start or end them, we'll say, in Ljubljana. It has a nice airport, and it's a beautiful town to wander in.
Gorgeous. Wow.
This is in Greece. Greece has several groups of islands. It has, I think, about 1,400 islands total. So there's an endless supply of islands to visit. This is an island over in the eastern part of the Mediterranean, the Dodecanese Islands. And this is an island called Simi. And it is absolutely stunning. People see this picture and they say, surely that's not a real place. I said, no, it really is.
It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's oh my gosh.
We do boat tours there, and now we're doing hiking tours there too in Simi. And so we island hop when we're in Greece. We go from one island for a couple of days to another island for a couple of days for another one, and we stay in these smaller cities and towns generally because that's all they have. And we really blend into the local culture. It's absolutely so much fun. And then we do some hikes around the islands, sometimes down to some little deserted bays and go swimming. Sometimes from town to town. It's really nice. And so this is what you see is what you get when you go to some of these islands.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely stunning picture.
See, CW, you could see across the water there, those little boats along that waterside walkway. You could be there.
Yeah, now he's teasing me, but I'm telling you, I could see doing a show from a location like this. Really,
I think you should. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we should too. What do you think, Maya? You in?
Oh, for sure. Go get lost.
Yeah. What are we looking at here?
This is the Italian Dolomites. If you've never heard the term Dolomites, it's the Eastern Alps, and it's the eastern part of the northern part of Italy, we'll say. And it's some of the most picturesque mountains in the world. They film a lot of movies here. Just about any movie you could name where they've had a lot of mountain scenes, whether it be a dramatic movie or or a love story, whatever. They often go to the Dolomites to film it because they have so many stunning dramatic peaks with these classic green alpine valleys with little villages and cottages and that sort of thing. It's the place you go to see that. And this is a picture just taken on one of our walks as we meander our way around. It's very pretty.
Yeah.
This is back in Greece. This is a typical little bay that we would either go to by boat or hike down to, and maybe spend some time under those umbrellas, doing a little swimming, sampling the local wine and seafood, perhaps.
Wow, that looks nice too.
Well, after you hike all day in this hot sun, you have to get in the water, right?
It's just perfect. Wow. This is Iceland.
Beautiful.
Iceland, the land of volcanoes and waterfalls, and this is one of the many waterfalls they have there. And you, once again, a part of the hike, you go and you see this. It's a really stunning, surreal landscape in Iceland. Yeah, it is nice. This is the south of France. We have like about 6 different tours, different permutations of either food and wine or hiking or blends of both, fusions of both. And this is a little town along the Lot River. The hiking there is it's fairly easy, really. It would say easy to moderate. There's really no challenging hiking in the south of France, but most people are kind of surprised when they first go there at just how rural and how pretty it is. Sort of looks like the Appalachians almost, with the exception of these ancient little cobblestone and stone towns, and obviously the food and wine. Because you start at the Bordeaux region, and of course they're famous for wine, and then you move into a region that's famous for Malbec, and you end up down in the Mediterranean. So you work your way all the way from the Atlantic down to the Mediterranean. You cross the entire peninsula there as you're the whole country in the southeast. And then you go through several different regions of food and wine and landscape. The largest sand dunes in Europe, you'll start on day 1 hiking, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean and having a little lunch and wine tasting on the dune. And then you'll end up down on the Mediterranean, a little seaside fishing town called Collioure, sampling their very unique wine and food from that area. So it's a lot of variety on this particular tour, the south of France. Yeah, Maya and I are hoping to go to France, do an episode here this summer. So excellent. I'm just looking at this, going, yeah, I think you can handle that.
Whoa!
Yeah, pretty, right? This is Mont Blanc, and so Mont Blanc is a wonderful tour. It covers 3 countries: Switzerland, France, and Italy, and you go back and forth between the countries regularly. In fact, on 2 different days, you cross from one country to the next, and then maybe even stay in a third country that night. So it is probably in every hiker's bucket list to do Mont Blanc. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Most of the walks are going to be in the moderate to challenging category. Once again, it doesn't mean that you have to be a big mountain climber to do them. You can see what the trails look like. There's nothing death-defying or anything. They're just up and down. But the rewards the scenery are absolutely amazing. And in the evenings, you're staying in little small mountain towns, whether it be France or Italy. So it's just amazing fusion of alpine scenery and food and wine, and it's wonderful. Everybody has to do that if you're a hiker in your lifetime, to do Mont Blanc.
Oh yeah, it is in my list for sure. Well,
another favorite place that's probably on everybody's bucket list is Patagonia. And for those of you that don't know, Patagonia is a huge region of Argentina, and the Andes run down the entire western side of Patagonia for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And there's glaciers galore up there. It's, I think, the one of the largest ice fields in the world. Some of the glaciers are actually growing up there as opposed to retreating. I should say down there, right? And so this is one of the most iconic hikes where you see Fitzroy in the background. In fact, that's me.
Whoa.
And so after you hike around Fitzroy, you're actually walking away from it, and there's a really pretty river there that we always stop and rest for a while, and you can get some really good shots. But if you see that little right to my right, you see that little brown peak there that's really low. We're actually earlier in the day. That's where we have lunch. That's how close you are to Fitzroy. You're right up underneath it. It's absolutely stunning day. And there's other fantastic hikes there too. Plus, we do a day of kayaking on the other side of Fitzroy to see it from that particular group of mountains. So Patagonia is one of the world's last great wild places. And again, put that on your list for you guys. Maya, have you been there? It's just right next door to you, right?
Oh, yes, it is close, but it's not that easy to travel around South America. And I need to take some time off as well. But for sure, I want to do that. Like, it's one of my dreams for sure.
Well, it's another show you guys can do from right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right out there.
Please.
Yeah, we get a comment, Juan tells me. Let's see what this says. All right. Let's see. Went on a food and wine tour of Tuscany with Go Get Lost. Can't wait to go again. That's pretty cool.
Good.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know who that is. I
Yeah.
can't read that. It's Melissa. Okay. It's a great balance of beautiful scenery, breathtaking views, and delicious food and wine. Also, the small groups are great for building relationships. Jeff, yours are awesome. I think that's cool. Yeah, Melissa Shekel. That's very cool.
You know, that's
You got
a
a lot
good
of
point,
great feedback here, Jeff. I mean, I think that's
We've seen
fantastic.
some groups come together that aren't private groups. A lot of groups are private that come to us, and we put together kind of a custom tour for them. But some are just people, obviously, thrown together. And we've seen some friendships grow over these tours that they'll stay in touch, and then 2-3 years later they'll all get together again and come on another tour and then another tour, and they're literally scattered all over the country and other countries sometimes too.
Yeah, people do that with cruises. I think that is cool when people do that.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
And about that, what insight might do you offer someone who may be uncertain about going on a group trip? Sounds like it's good, right? People are
there's definitely two kinds of travel there, as you say. There's the independent, lone wolf. I want to go out and explore my own, which has its own pros and cons. I love to do that myself sometimes. And then there's the group travel. I think the advantages of group travel, for sure, you give up a little bit of that independence. So if you want to sleep in until noon one day, that may not be appropriate if that's the day we're all moving to another town. But for the small group, that's minimized, I think. And some of the advantages are that you meet a lot of fun people, as we mentioned. There's always somebody there to help you out if you've forgotten something, whether on the trip or on that day. There's somebody there to kind of help you out. And then the fact that everything is in a small group is private, like on our tours at least. So you kind of get you have your own group wherever you go. And so if you want to have a private cooking class, you can. And it's going to be all these people that and you've become friends with. And if you're going to do this, it's the same. We go to a museum, it's going to be a private tour. And you're never wondering about who you might be put up with, right? And so I think there's a kind of it's not so much a group as kind of a bunch of friends traveling together. That's the way it evolves very quickly within a day or two. It's a pretty laid back group, the way we do it at least. And it's just fun, and it takes all the headaches out of it. You don't have to worry about anything. And so group travel like that, I think, is pretty addictive.
And there's always safety in numbers, I think, too, right?
Right. We generally don't have to fight off any wild animals or anything like that.
Well, there's that, yeah.
Right.
Oh boy. But I feel like the connection I made when I'm hiking are like the best. For me, the best part is meeting people. So I for sure recommend you guys.
Good.
And where can people go to learn even more about Go Get Lost and to book a trip?
Well, we have a website, gogetlost.com. It's really easy to remember. So if you go to our website, you can see our entire lineup of trips, what's scheduled and what's open, how many spots are open on them. Then you can, if you have any questions, you can pick up the phone and call us. It's 888-522-LOST, which is 5678. So you can call us on our toll-free line, or you can email us. You can email me. It's Jeff@GoGetLost. And we'll answer you and talk about anything you want to talk about. It's our favorite subject, so we're happy to talk about travel.
Yeah, why don't you give them that number one more time, Jeff? A little slower, though, but give it to them.
888-522-5678.
All right, that's very cool. Well, Jeff, listen, I want to thank you for being our guest here on Outdoors People. It was a pleasure having you with us and learning about Go Get Lost. What a cool business. I think that's cool.
Thanks for having me. It was great to be here.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. And if you want to book a trip for Brazil, just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd also like to thank each of our sponsors for bringing you tonight's show: Rutabaga Paddle Sports, Campground Views, Duluth Pack, and Jackson Kayak.
Be sure to tune in for next week's episode, The Queen of SUP, Candace Appleby, with our special guest, Candace Appleby. Until then, for Maya Marzaki, this is CW Get saying, thanks for tuning in to Outdoors People. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Ciao.